Hey guys, new video here. Today I'd like to talk about a quick little update to the Atlas strategy. I finally got my Shaper Stronghold permanently on my beach. It took about, I'd say a few hours, so not that bad. I wasn't being that efficient. You know, I'm currently streaming and I was streaming before, so, you know, it takes a little bit longer. And I would say if you're really like focused on this and you're not like, your attention is all the way on the Atlas here, it'll take you maybe an hour. It wasn't that hard. And in the past when I've done it, it also took like, one, but that's anecdotal. So why do you do Shaper Stronghold? Like, why should you even focus on this? So you shouldn't do it if you want to kill the boss of the map. You shouldn't do it if you want any elder items. The whale axes are what, like 2 or 3 exalts. There's certain other elder items that are very expensive. And if you want to do a variety of maps, or you think you might be switching around a lot, for example, like you might want to test out like this map, but then you want to test out this one. Oh wait, but then your favorite streamer says that this map is the best one. You might not actually like this strategy because it locks you into a very specific strategy, and also the ping pong is pretty easy to do these days with low investment. Maybe like running one other map every like 15 to 20 maps. So you might prefer the ping pong, but this is for the lazy people, someone who wants to get lots of monsters in their maps and lots of effects in their maps, lots of rewards without ever having to think about maintenance. And it's also for the ease of not killing the boss, because once again, the beach map has a boss in a different zone, and that's why I put my Shaper Stronghold here, because there's no way in hell, even when I'm streaming, that I'm gonna enter the boss room on accident, right? It's just not gonna happen, because if you kill the boss, you're gonna lose the Shaper Stronghold. You have to redo this whole thing. It's gonna take you like an hour or so. Okay, so let's talk about the patch notes. 3.7 patch notes have added a massive buff to Shaper backgrounded maps. Now let's talk about the regular ones. If you see this, Shaper has possessed this map, which means when you go in here, you're gonna have a chance. You're gonna be guaranteed packs of Shaper monsters. That's across all Elder maps and all Shaper maps. The patch notes said that every one of these influence maps has extra monsters as a baseline. What else do you get though? When you have a Shaper background, you have anomalies. These are black circles that follow you, kind of like in the Shaper fight. They don't do that much damage. They're a dot, and then they proc when you touch them. When they proc, these maps that aren't Shaper Strongholds have a 20% chance to proc the monsters. The monsters that I've seen are almost always rare, and they're almost always magic. I haven't seen any regular mobs from them, and sometimes they're rare, and sometimes there's like a special like Shaper MTX pearl that pops up with like some juicy guys there, and so it's really nice, right? And it happens a lot, and they can congeal on top of each other to have multiple spawns. They do not get blocked by terrain. For example, if your anomaly procs like right here in like the very corner, it won't spawn the mobs outside the zone. It will spawn all 4. So it's 4 blue mobs per anomaly, or a rare mob with a couple other monsters, right? So very good, because rare magics give way more XP than a pack of white monsters, and then rare monsters also give a lot more XP than white monsters, and they got 56% XP bonus or something like that this patch. So extremely good XP and extremely good loot. Another thing that's really good is that in these backgrounded maps, whether they're the Elder mobs or the Shaper mobs, when they congeal, the portals for Beyonds actually work, and they work 1-to-1. They are not a lower coefficient. For example, Breach is maybe like 0.1 coefficient. So instead of 13% or 15% chance of Beyond spawn, it's actually like 1% or 2%. It's really bad. But these monsters have a similar Beyond proc rate as a normal map monster. So it's absolutely insane if you stack 3 of these on top and you get a Beyond pack, right? Which once again, the Beyond pack also can't be white monsters. It's blue or rare. So you can see how this kind of stacks up. And if you have a zoom build where you kind of want to skip the anomalies, because anomalies move really slow, you might not want it, right? Because it's hard. Maybe it's hard to see if you have a lot of herald effects or a lot of MTX. But for me, like, my build's pretty bad, so I can see them all and I can stack them all. And the closer you stack like multiple of these anomalies, the more Beyonds can spawn. And then on top of all the other benefits, okay? Another thing that can happen in here is so let's go from just the Shaper background to the Shaper Stronghold. Now, Strongholds have been buffed in the way that the anomalies have a 100% chance to spawn. So it's no longer a 20% chance where, like, for example, let's say you proc a ball in here, and you wait around the second, because they have immunity frames when they spawn in for a second. Let's say you proc it and no monster spawn. Then you've wasted like a couple seconds. Your rampage might fall off, right? Your charges might fall. Well, these days, like that means your build's bad. But the things could fall off, right, if you're stacking. But here, the balls, there are more plentiful of them, and they are guaranteed 100% chance of the spawn. So you really notice the difference if you've been running these maps. And And so that is why I've chosen to perma this, right? That means I can, as long as I don't kill the boss, I can run this I can run this 1,000 times, and this ring, this golden ring indicating the stronghold, will never go away. It'll just stay there, and I'll get the benefits. We've tested this in, I had a friend test this in 3 runs, and you get all the benefits. You get the loots, you know, the spawns, all this stuff. And so it works. It's great. And how do we get this? Okay, so now that we know the benefits, how do we get it? Well, the way that the rule for this, the general rule is that I have seen the Shaper Stronghold spawn 1 to 2 units away, meaning that like if I have 1 to 2 units away from the Elder Influence, meaning that if I have Elder Influence right here on Arachnetomb, it could spawn on Beach or like Jungle Valley. Now I don't know the exact rules because like Grinding Gear doesn't give us like the minutia. We don't know the code, but I personally have seen it spawn 1 to 2 away. Maybe it can spawn a little bit further, but it can never spawn on the opposite corner. So if you have your Elder Influence here, you cannot spawn a Shaper Stronghold like on Racecourse. You can't spawn it on Haunted Mansion. You can't spawn it on like, you know, Hydra, okay? And so that's very important because that means that because we do know very exact rules for how like Elder kind of moves around and how to like flip tiles and stuff like that, you can slowly get your Elder Influence over to an area where your Elder map is. And the way that I did this is initially my Elder had spawned right here. There was like a bunch, like 4 or 5 nodes here, so I just cleared him. I ran all the maps that had the Elder Influence behind it, cleared him. He'll slowly die off, and then let's say there's one left. You do that one, he's completely gone. When Elder is completely gone, meaning there are absolutely no little Elder tentacles, like these little Entei tentacles around, then the rule is he will try to spawn on a tier of which you are running and completing the map, okay? And so the way you do that is, for me, right, I knew that I wanted him in the bottom right corner, okay? And so I was like, okay, well, how can I do that? Well, someone suggested, they're like, hey, you know what? In this bottom right corner, there's two tier 2s. Look at that, very glowy brain, right? Because otherwise, like, it's like really random if it was only one. But you see, this only has like 1. Well, actually, this one has 2, but this one's a tier 7. You see, and so like, why not just run tier 2s so that maybe he can spawn in here? Right? Because if you run tier 2s and there's no Elder, he's not going to spawn T16, right? This is the common strategy where people want to spawn an Uber Elder. They'll run either their Guardians, or you can very reliably run T15s. It's exactly the same thing, because if you run T15s, he'll spawn on T15s, which is immediately next to the Shaper Guardians right here, which means guaranteed Uber Elder spawn, right? So that's the rules right there. Elder will spawn, if he's not on the map already, on the tier you are doing randomly, okay? So I ran a tier 2 because there's more tier 2s here, so it's like a 1 extra tick chance, I guess. But it doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter. You can just run any tier where like you want the corner, right? So I could have ran Arachnetomb tier 3 because it could have spawned here. I could have even ran Beach, or I could have even ran like tier 5 even, because like you just need to get him into a place where there is a tier of that map, okay? So once he has spawned, okay, for me, for example, when I tried to do this with tier 2s, he spawned in this corner 3 times in a row, right? So when he doesn't spawn in the corner, like the area that you want, you're gonna need to clear him. And by clearing Elder, once again, you just flip the tiles. You do the maps in which Elder is behind, and you completely like kill him off, and then you try again, right? And so I had to do this on my 4th try. Elder spawned right here on Arid Lake, Lookout, and Ivory Temple. And you can spawn him on the map that you're doing if he doesn't exist on the map yet. So I did like Lookout, I was spamming it, and he spawned here, right here, these 3. And then I slowly expanded him to get closer to Beach, and then suddenly I got the Stronghold after another tick. And you can also, like, if there's no Shaper influence around here, like for example, if it wasn't here, but I wanted to push further, I could do like Phantasmagoria or Waste Pool, where I can push him out and it'll initiate maybe ticks, because he can take over stuff on his own. But if there's nothing, then you kind of have to run like any map you want, and then that'll initiate a tick, and then he can maybe take something. That's how I got mine. But once again, there's so many ways you can do it. I'm just trying to kind of give you a general idea, right? So once again, get the Elder Influence into the corner, into the quadrant that you kind of want, and then spread him very close, I'd say at least within 2 units, like 2 connectors of the map you want to Shaper Stronghold, and then you pray. Okay, so now let's talk about the other scenario that could happen if you're not lucky, right? Let's say that my Shaper Stronghold, I think the limit is 2. It might be 3. Is it 2? I don't know. Like I've seen 2 on the map before, but I don't know if I've seen 3. But let's say that is it 3? Okay, I don't know. I think I've seen 2 most of the time. So if let's say that I got very unlucky and this ring, the Stronghold, spawned on Ghetto or like Waste Pool, I'd be like, oh man. So what you would do in that case, right, is you just, it's very easy. You just try it again, because to flip this back, right, you just complete the map. You just get him off of there, and then he could take this into Shaper Stronghold. He could take this into Elder Influence. You just keep going until you get the map you want. Right now, if the map that you wanted to get Shaper Stronghold becomes Elder, okay, this probably makes sense to most of you guys, but I'm gonna say it anyways for people that are really confused. If for like new players, if Elder takes over the map you want, you just do that map again. Okay, it's not a big deal. You don't have to like reset everything. Okay, so all you gotta care about is getting Elder close, and then you pray. It's good RNG. I think it's easier than the Elder Circle, because Elder Circle, if you got cut off, you actually lost like 2 hours. But this, as long as you spawn the Elder, like he can't really go away because you're in complete control here, right? If he's getting too fat and like pushing inwards, you can cut him back. Like if he's pushing too much over here, you can cut him back. If he pushes into this one, then you can cut him back that way. You're in full control. So overall, pretty easy. I'm gonna test it out. I'm gonna run a lot of maps, and I'll do a follow-up video on how it feels and what my results are. Okay, that's the video, guys. Live on Twitch every day. Actually live right now, but by the time this video goes out, it'll be in 12 hours. So maybe tomorrow. Every day at 8:30 Chicago time. Okay, thank you everyone. Thank you for watching my video. Bye. Bye everyone. That's my video, dude. I did it. 1 take.